Well, we're back here, Men 101. And we're back with our panel: Tony D'Amico, Derek Freddy, and again Randy Thomas, who's filling in for our buddy Nick Bass. Nice to have you back, Randy.
Great to be here. I can't believe I'm filling in for a guy from NSYNC.
Who's from NSYNC?
Nick Bass.
Yeah, but no. Randy always some sort of joke.
Was that his Lance?
Lance.
Oh, Lance Bass.
Right.
Lance Bass.
Nick Bass. Oh, yeah.
It was Lance Bass.
Something like that.
Well, it's good to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be back again.
Yeah, it's
Thank
great, and you're taking off and then you're shooting and stuff like that. But anyway, listen, great topic today again, guys. Like, we just get really good topics. Male sex addiction, or is it addiction?
Male sex addiction.
Yeah, that's our topic. That's our topic today. We also have Eric Perenni, who's going to come on and talk to us about that, who's also part of the White Ribbon Project, and our good old friend Peter Sapabathi to come back and cook. And we have a really nice young woman, Catherine Musson. She's going to perform at the end of the show for us. So yeah, great show again. But that was nice to be here, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm very excited about I'm super excited about the topics, but I'm.
So
really
if you're
excited
super
about food.
excited about the topic there, you just go ahead and kick in. So male sex addiction, because
Yes, tell
the
us
minute
what are you
you
excited
about? Which part?
the minute you start, I'm ready to go. You know it's on top of
I got
anybody.
preoccupied because I saw
Oh.
food out of the corner of my eyes, so I'm super excited about that. But I am excited about this sexual addiction topic in men because I find the constant debate is whether it exists or not. You were saying before, whether it is actually a thing or not.
Okay, so
I think it's hogwash.
You think what?
Hogwash.
I don't think it's an addiction.
believe it.
I don't believe that.
No?
I'm in the same suit that Ronnie comes from. I don't believe it's a male sex addiction. To me, I think you have to look at the word addiction first. The word addiction, in my eyes, is basically, does this issue change your behavior for the negative? Like, let's talk about an easy example. Some type of narcotic, cocaine, methamphetamine, or whatever.
Yeah.
Methamphetamine.
Okay, heroin, whatever it may be. At some point, if you get addicted to this substance, you're going to do stuff that you would normally not do if you were in your normal state without that narcotic whatsoever. You'd steal.
The state of mind is not altered. Well,
Right.
or maybe it is. Maybe we're going to learn that it is. I don't know, but I want to hear it. Because
Right. So I would say you're not going to rob somebody. You're not going to tell lies on your friends. Because I had not to stay on the narcotic thing, but I had a really close friend that became a junkie and was a financial advisor, an amazing individual, and just lost everything and lied about me to other friends just to get money. He wore any hat he would. So what I'm trying to get across is, if male sex addiction is an addiction, does it change your behavior in a negative standpoint?
Well, wouldn't it? I don't know. An addiction
You always
is.
hum
It's
stuff
like.
there.
say what you're thinking.
Like,
Say
like-
what
well,
you're thinking.
'cause-
Aside from sex. Don't talk about your
No, but
sex.
if it
No, well, it's about something that. Essentially, it starts off with something that makes you feel good. That's what all addictions in my head
Right.
seem to start off with. So can that not apply to sex as well? Now, yes, you may have a healthy relationship with sex in general, but is it not another area where people actually can be addicted? Because your mind actually it can be an escape. It can be something that, I mean, because when you're talking about having sex, not necessarily with someone else, but even with yourself, multiple times daily, is that not getting into the way of your life?
I think if
is
it
it
affects
not?
No, that's the key.
If it affects your
It's affecting your
everyday,
life, exactly.
Then for sure, I think it's an addiction.
Like any other
you can't go
addiction.
to work properly and do your job properly because you're always,
Yeah.
Well, that is a valid point. Yeah, I mean, but I still find it hard. I don't think it's, I'm possibly wrong.
Yeah, I'd love to know. Is there an altered chemical balance?
Well,
in
isn't it
the
that your
head? I mean,
endorphins or and stuff like that would set off this stuff in your brain? Isn't that what that does?
Well, that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm anxious to talk about with our guests. Do these people that claim to have sex addictions, do they have abnormal levels of testosterone or abnormal levels of the endorphins? What are we talking about? That drive this. I'd be curious to know.
So what's a nympho?
Well, a nympho is a nymphomaniac.
Is
I actually would like to know what Dr. Eric has to say.
because wouldn't that
What's the
be
same thing? A
same
nymphomaniac or
so,
sex addiction?
so you're saying a nymphomaniac is sexually addicted?
No.
What do you think, Randy?
I'm going to say I think that a lot of people who claim to have sex addictions are really, they have a life problem that they mask with, like, say a drug ring like that they mask with this. Like, for instance, that is for some, as a man, traditionally we used to talk about hunters. I remember on the last show that I was on, we were talking about hunters. Well, a man hunts, and it makes them feel good. It validates them. So maybe there's something else going on in their life that is actually repressing them, beating them down, or there's an abuse there. Say what we were talking about in that last show when I was on before about mental abuse from a partner, that this validates them, makes them feel more like a man to go out and hunt and conquer a woman or engage in some kind of sexual act as that.
So what would you say sexual addiction is then? There's multiple partners a day, introducing toys,
Online, watching porn all day.
Like, well,
Like you said, if it affects your life,
if it affects your
if it
life,
destroys your ability to conduct your life day to day, then I absolutely there's a problem. It could be, it could be a food addiction. It could be anything, right? We've an incredibly obese society, and I think a lot of obese people they have a life problem that they're trying to deal with that they're not able to deal with. And I think some people then manifest it in sexual ways, and I'm still not sold on it. So I'm really anxious to talk to the guest about it because I don't know. As guys, how many times a day do we think about sex?
Well, they say like
What is it,
every 7
every-
minutes you think about sex.
Right.
Every
One of us thought about.
every 7 minutes.
One of us have already thought about sex.
It's supposed to be, well, it's probably already happened a few times, and we're talking about it, so it's very up in the forefront. However, it's more than once every 7 minutes. I think it's like once every
7 seconds.
27 seconds.
Really?
Let's get Dr. Eric to clear that up.
Wow,
I feel like it's
that's crazy.
literally like a couple times in a minute.
So I'm above average.
Well, yeah, I definitely want you, like on the last show this year, you opened up and asked for help. So I'm really looking forward to you doing that again.
Yeah.
You're trying to say that Tony has a sex addiction problem? Oh God, this is not funny at all.
No, I'm not trying to make light of anything or your problem.
But going back on
there's
what
no
you
problem.
said before, I really do think that I don't know that there is one category where, okay, you're a sex addict because this is the sexual act that you're continuously doing on an irregular basis. I think that it's the entire gamut, whether it's you're out and you're looking for different partners, whether it's you're in front of a computer and you are your own partner multiple times a day, whether it is pornographic magazines. I think that they all are addictions.
Okay, but what happens
right?
if they're a couple and they explore outside of their marriage or relationship?
Well,
Does that fall? And I mean, they're meeting other people and doing their own thing. Like, wouldn't that
it could.
make them addicted in a different aspect of?
Well, it's
Before you answer, you
Uh-huh.
know what's going to happen right now.
I do.
You know I'm going to break. We'll be right back with our guest after the break. Thanks.
Let's talk about sex.
And we're back here with Eric Pierney. How you doing, Eric?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So let's give you guys some information on Eric. Eric's a therapist, owner and founder of Men's Therapy Toronto, which is a private psychotherapy practice focused on men's mental health, with an emphasis on sex and pornographic addiction, which is our topic today. That's why Eric's on.
I like him already.
Prior to opening this practice, he was the executive director of the
Delton Glebe County.
Delton Glebe Counseling. And am I reading correct here? You're one of the guys that started Kijiji, or they're the guy?
We were 3 people that launched it in 2005.
Wow,
Bravo.
that's phenomenal.
Yeah, so that was actually, it was February 28th and February 28th in 2005 when I placed the first ad ever on Kijiji. And actually, it was really just a regular day. I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to place the ad now. And we placed the ad, and we had no idea what was going to come of the business.
Wow.
We didn't realize. It was probably 2.5 years later when we realized, okay, this is the real deal. For the first 2 years, it was...
Yeah, start up and you don't know what's going to happen.
you don't know
Absolutely,
what's
yeah.
gonna happen.
Why that name? Why did you pick that name?
There were 3 names originally. It was Puffbox, which is Latin for Voice of the People. P168, which was the kind of name, the internal name that we were using in the project when we were working on it. We would call it P168, just so people wouldn't know what we were talking about. And then Kijiji actually means village in Swahili. But the thing that really kicked it up for us is that if you look on the keyboard, the 3 letters, the K, I, and J, are actually all in a little triangle. Now, Kijiji was part of the eBay company of brands. And so we wanted to make sure that it was clear the distinction between eBay and Kijiji. So eBay is a global platform and Kijiji is a local platform. So that's why Kijiji, Village, all in the same area, we thought reinforced that.
Right.
But the first year, people were really struggling to spell that name, and we wanted to scrap it. Like, we used to have fights in the office. Like, we've got to get rid of this name. How are you going to, who the hell knows how to spell Kijiji? And, right,
Wow,
so,
that's fantastic. We're sitting there, wow.
yeah.
Well, it's great to have you here.
Well, thank you.
And so as we were just talking before you got on about sex addiction.
Yes.
So like, and everybody has their own opinion,
Yes.
and mine, and I think Randy and I are in the same boat.
Yes.
Well, we don't believe it's an addiction at all.
Yeah.
So, where's your standpoint? And you're in this.
Yeah, I think that's the first place, the important place to start. Scientifically, sex addiction technically doesn't really exist. The reason scientifically in the medical community they don't want to say it exists is because they don't want to put a label on normative sexual behaviors. So they don't want to say, like, let's say some guy watches porn every night. Who am I to say that that's healthy or unhealthy? Right? So that's that branch that says, hey, we don't want to do this. And I think we need to bring that up in the discussion more, because often that doesn't get spoken about. We just, either the person sits there and says sex addiction is a really bad thing, or they go from the other angle of, hey, this doesn't exist. And so I like bringing that in. I think it's healthy to have that discussion. But from the flip side, there are a significant portion of men that they're engaging in these sexually addictive behaviors, and it's leading to consequences, right? So they're let's say they're in a marriage, a committed relationship,
Right.
and they're seeing escorts, right? Now, obviously, there's going to be consequences associated with that. The way I like to frame it in my practice is I like to say, hey, yes, I do believe sexual addiction is real. I don't think the word is ideal. We use the word addiction because people understand what it means. We don't have the perfect word for it. The way I like to frame it is I like to frame it of, what's a healthy sexuality for you? What does that look like for you?
Right.
And then, are you able to achieve that healthy sexuality? So for everyone, that's different. For one guy, maybe his healthy sexuality is watching porn once a week, 3 times a week, whatever that is. So I'll honor that. We go there. But for another guy, he's like, listen, Eric, I'm in a marriage. She means everything to me. This behavior is killing me. I don't want that in my life. I just want to be committed to this one individual. And then we work there. So basically that's it. The actual definition of sexual addiction is persisting in the actual fantasy or sexual behaviors, and it's leading to consequences. But the reason that someone is doing it is because they're medicating emotions. That's fundamentally why they're there. So if I can just explain, if we take the lens and we say, okay, this is kind of problematic, right? Sexual addiction is not the problem, it's the symptom. So a guy is engaging in behaviors like seeing escorts, going to massage parlors, watching excessive amounts of porn, because they're trying to medicate something that's really painful inside. And they're using those behaviors, okay? Which is why it feels addictive. Because what they try to do is they spend all their energy trying to stop the symptom. So like, okay, this week I'm no longer going to watch porn. Or this week I'm no longer going to, see escorts. But that's a little bit like what they're doing is like, there's a flood in the washroom, and they're using a pail to take the water out. But
And
they're never actually going to turn off the sauce.
So as Randy was saying earlier, but just before you come on, we were talking about the is it in the brain, or the endorphins in the brain, or what would we?
Yeah, is there a chemical imbalance even in some people? Like some people who have sex addiction, like you say, are masking an emotion,
Yeah.
right? Or masking a need, but are there some people who are sex addicts or claim to be sex addicts that have been proven to have chemical imbalances where it's really manifested in a way that it is like being addicted to heroin or something?
Generally what happens is something will happen in the individual's experience, usually the early experience. This is generally, I'm giving you, not everyone, okay? What happens, and neuroscience has helped us with this, is that the individual will create neural pathways. So those neural pathways, what they do is they say, something's not right, and I will do this, okay, to feel better, right? But as they continue to do it, so maybe they start at age 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, the neural pathway gets stronger. And so that's the part you're kind of talking about here. So for the individual, they feel like this is all I know, and this
Right.
is all that works, right? And there's a part of them that it's accurate. That neural pathway has been built, and with neuroscience, we see over time it actually strengthens.
Okay.
Now, the issue with a neural pathway is that it cannot dissolve. If someone, for example, from the age of 12 starts watching porn to medicate difficult feelings, Okay, that neural pathway will never go away. The only thing that happens is you can build a healthier neural pathway.
Right.
So basically, you supersede it.
Got it.
There's
Wow.
no medication or stuff. that
There's
you
no
do.
no. There's no
It's all about-
medication. No, there's no medication.
Like I was saying, Derek, earlier, my thing about addiction is, does it have some negative effect on your behavior? And this is if you're going to escorts and it's affecting your marriage and all this stuff, then that's basically a negative behavior that's going to destroy something positive in your life. So I'm starting to change my opinion slightly about sex addiction now. I'm still stuck on the other side just a little bit, but I understand completely. Yeah. So,
But in your opinion, do you? Because we all are aware of Charlie Sheen and his whole sexual addiction, and it became very buzzy, right? With celebrities like him and celebrities like Terry Crews came out being a sex addict. Do you think that people use that term as a scapegoat sometimes? Well, I'm a sex addict, so I can't help it.
well, before you even get to that, Eric, not to cut you off, and Derek always seems to be the guy that's in the middle of say something
On the cusp.
and he's just about to get out there, and I have to go to break. So we're going to go to break a couple of seconds, and we'll see you right after the break, and then Derek can get back to this question.
See everybody's palms.
And welcome back. So, and I always rudely cut Derek off. So, Derek, let's go back to where you were, if you remember.
It's my spot over here. So, no, I do remember, and I just want to know your opinion on people using the sexual addiction label as a scapegoat to excuse their infidelities. And, I mean, we have things like...
Halle Berry and Eric Benet went through this back in 2003.
Yeah.
When
Right,
we were
right.
filming Gothica, she got up on Oprah's couch, jumping up and down, saying how much she loves him and that he's a sex addict and everything like that. And then, of course, the relationship got dissolved. But again, he used that as
An excuse.
well, again, I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying.
Escape?
I'm not judging.
Scapegoat. Well, we don't
Like,
know.
I feel like that is... Like, and I want to know if you see that a lot in your...
Well, I don't see it. I mean, first of all, it's not my place to judge someone's intention, right? I don't know what their intention is behind them saying that they're a sex addict or not a sex addict. What I can speak for the clients that are coming to my clinic, because, you know, it's not about saying, oh, I'm a sex addict. It's really about saying, hey, I want to have the courage to take a look at what's going on here, because they're in some type of pain. And so the focus is not the actual behaviors, because that's not where the money is in terms of getting what they want. It's what the hell is driving them towards these behaviors, right? And so I can see the legitimacy of someone when they're willing to do the work, right? Because it's one thing to say, I'm a sex addict. It's another thing to say, well, you want to do something about it, because that's actually a really courageous step. So, you know, it's not me to judge. I don't know what their intent is. Maybe you're right. Maybe half of those people are just saying it because it's an easy way out. But maybe there's another half that aren't. I would have no idea.
But a sex addict is like, I mean, it's also consists of, like, let's say someone that's, like you said, escorts or strip clubs. That's all stuff that you use to substitute something that's they're trying to avoid the pain, or, you know. So I mean, besides internet, now there's like apps, you know, that makes all this stuff. That's all stuff that people, I guess, get attached to, and they use that to, you know, how do I say it? They,
Other symptoms or
ways.
signs that you can pick up in this stuff that if
Yes.
you're
But
doing
all
certain-
addictions too, in the sex part aspect.
Yeah. I think one of the issues that's the hardest for the men dealing with this is making the distinction that they're not a bad person. They're in a lot of pain, but they don't see it that way, right? So from their point of view, they're like, I have this beautiful wife, I have these beautiful kids. How could I be that I go and regularly see escorts? And then that creates so much shame that they have to go again, right? So fundamentally, what we're talking about is I think the better word for sex addiction I like to use is intimacy disorder, right? So the men, what's going on is they're terrified to be intimate with a healthy person because they have a flawed perspective of themselves. They feel like fundamentally they're not good enough. With sex addiction, is interesting for the show you guys are doing. A lot of the guys have a sense of an inadequate masculinity. So they feel like they're not man enough, right? And there is nothing that could make at least a straight guy feel manly than actually, you know,
Not performing in the bedroom or...
no, not about that. I'm saying about the addictive. So let's say, you know, I'm struggling and a part of me is like, man, I feel like I'm not, you know, a real dude. Like, I don't feel like I'm one of the guys,
Yeah.
right? But then I'm able to seduce a girl.
Right.
And then I'm able to, I get that feeling like, oh, that I get that pain of not feeling like one of the guys goes away. And then that's how the addictive, right? So I have to go there.
Constantly always go somewhere to get that feeling like I'm a man.
Exactly. But and then when you think about it, where I have to bring them is I have to say, listen, I can't think of anything less masculine than paying someone for sex.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I can't think of anything more feminine than paying someone for sex. But fundamentally, at core, you ask me what are the signs. The core thing that I usually see is some form of trauma, whether it's sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. Usually, I will see that in the history. That's not all the case. So sometimes men might be watching and be like, oh, I never had any of that, so I can't have this problem. No, there could be other reasons. But I'm saying 9 times out of 10, my practice clients, the way we work, is first I start with a detailed sexual history. So I literally ask them, from your earliest memory, like, tell me the first time you had any sexual experience. I say at least 6 times out of 10, I'm going to start to see
Something.
some
Like a
type,
pattern?
some type of sexual abuse, something that happens. And so, so what I usually say in my practice, I say, well, this is your sexual addictive behavior, and this is how you feel about yourself. Right now you don't feel good, so this thing wins. So our job is to get this up, and then this go down.
Right.
And another word for this is power. The men ultimately feel powerless. And so our work is to say, not power like money, power like feeling integrated whole. Our work is to make them feel more, my work to make them feel more, and then this loses all its appeal.
So, like, I always go to Derek for this because we're heterosexual men, and I always wonder, like, I always go to Derek for the LBGT.
I was just going there.
Yeah,
Totally.
I was just going to see what, like, in the LBGT community, Derek,
Mm-hmm.
is there an issue there? Because, you know, I mean, and I'm not gonna, like, this might sound a
With
little...
sex or sexual addiction?
Sexual addiction, because, you know, back in the day, everybody thought the LBGT community was promiscuous, right? Back in the day, and that was the whole thing that, you know, but it's not really what it was. It's just-
Yeah.
So, is there can you...
Well, to be honest, I don't know. When it comes to sexual addiction, I would lean to you to ask what the ratio is. Do you see gay people that are coming to see you too? Okay, so
Absolutely.
naturally,
I just want to
exactly.
be clear. So I have a practice for men.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
there's no, I don't care about
Exactly,
what their
sexuality.
orientation and
So I do believe, so it's across the gamut. I think what blurs it a little bit now is in the gay world, there are so many apps that are there, and it's just for
that,
sex.
for sure.
There's Tinder, yes, but there's Grindr, and that's like it's just opened up a
Okay,
whole
so
can
let's
of
go back
worms.
to the root of men here. Okay? Somebody who has money that can eat a filet mignon every day is going to eat a filet mignon because they can. Right? What we're talking here about sexuality, if a straight man could make love to a Victoria's Secret model every day, he probably would. Right? If he could. So in my thoughts are men are men. This is where we're exactly the same. Whether we're straight or gay, we're exactly the same. It's about power and being able to do.
But
if we could sleep with a Victoria's Secret model every day, or if a man could sleep with
A GQ
another attractive
model?
man every day,
But
it's harder for us to sleep with Victoria's Secret models than it is.
But is it like doing that? Is it a sexual addiction? But is
but
it?
that's what I'm trying to say.
But you have to play that tape out, right? So
Right.
so play that tape out, the one you just used, right? So let's say today you're going to sleep with a Victoria's Secret model.
Right.
Now tomorrow there's a Victoria's Secret model that's a little bit more beautiful than
Yeah.
the one you slept with today. You're going to sleep with her. Then the next day the one's a little more beautiful. Go in the end of the road. Where is
Yeah.
that guy? That guy is in a really painful place.
and that's exactly what I'm getting at. And that's
But he might not be. Why would a rich person be in a painful place because he's eating filet mignon every day because he can afford it? Like Brad Pitt, like a beautiful girl has no problem getting sex. Brad Pitt can go get. Brad Pitt's probably the only guy that I know that can.
But Randy, actually, this is
We gotta
actually-
get set. We're gonna come back right after commercial. Come right back after the commercial. You didn't get cut off.
I have so much
we'll
to
be
say.
right back. We'll be
That's
right back.
great. Where you want.
And we're back again. This is getting a heated topic. So that's right. Randy's all about the filet mignon. Let's get back to this whole topic, as you were saying. Like we got, as Eric said, you got to the end of the line.
Yeah. So please, like I say, we're talking about how it's about power, and it's not necessarily an abuse of power. It's because you can. Again, a woman finds it much easier to get sex than a man. They can have sex all the time. Brad Pitt's the only person I know. Well, I'm sure there are others, but use him as an example that he could have sex every day, multiple times a day with a beautiful woman, just because he can. It doesn't because he's a problem. It's because he can. It's like a kid in the candy store. You put the kid in the candy store, the kid.
But you just said that it's because he can, but he doesn't.
Well, I didn't say he doesn't.
But is that not an abuse of
he said
that?
he chooses not to.
How do you know?
He just said.
He doesn't. I didn't
But
say he chooses not.
I think that's one of the common errors that men make, is that they mistakenly take sex as intimacy, right? So sex is a piece of intimacy.
Fair.
But you will not feel intimate with another human being if you're only having sex with that individual. So, sure, you can do what you described if you have the power, the looks, or whatever it is.
Or the money.
Or the money. But you will not feel like you're engaging in an intimate relationship with another individual.
I will agree with that totally.
And fundamentally, that's what's going to create all the pain.
Yeah.
I need to touch on that, or expand on that, because in the whole Grindr world, which is, we all know, is a gay app for hooking up, it's something I said when I first moved to Toronto, and I would say to my friends, I was like, it's like a lot of these guys are trying to, it's like they're trying to get rid of something through just constant random sex. It's like there is clearly a problem, and you can't figure it out. You are upset, you're damaged in some way, and so the easiest go-to, especially as a gay man, is, well, I can have sex anywhere, and it's really easy, and it's fun, and it feels good, and yada yada. And I find that it leaves so many damaged people, a lot of damaged people. And I want to know what your opinion is in that whole Grindr effect.
Well, I have obviously gay men in my practice, and Grindr is one of the issues that come up. So they're men in committed relationships with other men, and they're happy with their partners, but they're finding themselves going on the Grindr, doing whatever. But I think what's very important is that every time I speak with these men, I ask them, when did this type of behavior begin? And it always predates any individual, even pre-Grindr. Because prior to Grindr, maybe they would have been going to porn shops, or who knows what they would have been doing, or hooking up on casual dating. And that piece is important, because they're struggling to say, well, I have this guy that I'm really into. Why am I doing this? Oh, maybe because I'm not into this guy. But then when I ask them, wait, when's the first time do you remember this energy, this compulsion to do that stuff? And it always predates, I would say 99% of the time, it predates whoever they've met. So their issue's been there from the beginning. And you were accurate. They are trying to get rid of something. Generally, what I see is that emotional pain. And also, you mentioned about them not being able to see it. What I share with men in my practice, oftentimes, this idea of shame, is kind of like if you thought of a fish and it were born in polluted water, okay? If a fish were born in polluted water, that fish would have no idea that the water is the cause of its problem. It can go all around that ocean, do whatever it wants, but it can't figure it out. And that's what these men are like in terms of, because they've been in this polluted water their whole lives, they think this is normal.
Yeah.
Right? And so we haven't talked about the work, because it's one thing to have the insight, okay, I have this problem, but what's the work? You gotta be, you can't do it alone. Like, it doesn't matter, ideally if you can find a therapist, that's good. But even if you can find a good friend that you can have some real conversation about, get the stuff that you've been hiding for a long time and get it out on the table. The other piece, which is a hallmark of the work, the men that come in my practice, it's almost mandatory, they've got to be in groups. Because intimacy with other men, if you ask most sex addicts, hey, how are your relationships with men? Generally they'll say, I don't have a lot.
Wow.
Or then I'll ask them, are they, like, what's the quality of the ones you have? They're not very good. And ironically, sex addiction has nothing to do, for straight men, has nothing to do with women. It actually has to do with, like I said,
Male
their sense
friends.
of masculinity and their sense of community with, right? Because maybe they haven't had a father growing up, so they're always trying to prove themselves. And so they have to be with other men. And it's one thing to say something that you're totally scared of saying in front of people. It's another thing to say it in front of a group of men.
Right, it's great because we always keep coming back to this. There's nothing for men. There's no shelters or groups or anything for men, no matter what. We're 7 shows in, and it's constantly all about men. There's nothing out there to help the men, whether it's sexual addiction or abuse. This is a great, because it's coming back to that one thing all the time here.
Well, in Toronto, we're lucky. We've got 3 really good 12-step communities for men for sex addictions. These are you can find them online. Just Google Sex Addiction Anonymous. They're based on the models of 12-step. They're really, really effective. Why they're effective is more so just to start learning what it's like to be intimate with other men and what it's like to say the things you really don't want to say in front of another man. One of the key things that comes in the office is with straight men is sexual orientation confusion, which is not, they're straight men, but they sometimes have this little doubt. Is it possible that maybe I like men? And that little doubt creates so much pain in these guys because they're like, it shakes them. And then they're like, okay, well, when I act out with a woman, that's gone, right? Now you got to say that in front of a group of men.
I don't even know where to start with that.
Now, you know what the funny thing about that is once you say that in a group of other men,
They all start to say this. High fives.
no, they all raise their hand in terms of saying, hey, I relate to that. Sexual orientation confusion, I would say, is so incredibly common. And the irony with sexual orientation, the thing that people don't understand about it is that people grow in confidence. Like, for example, if you were a young boy, you felt like, okay, you're attracted to other boys, then you had your experience. If it was positive, you'd feel good about it, and you'd continue that road. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of young straight men, let's say they're sexually abused, and they get together with a girl, and they can't get it up. Or they can't, and then it's a negative experience. And then they don't start to gain that confidence in their kind of heterosexuality. Yeah, it doesn't mean they're not heterosexual. They just, that doubt starts to kind of creep in there. And then, who are they going to tell that to?
So are you saying that addiction is reversible then? You can reverse the...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's reversible in the sense the neural pathways will never go away, but there is the time where what you used to do before would disgust you. Right. You'd be like... Right. You'd almost... Actually, you would be disgusted, but you'd have a lot of compassion. You'd remember the way you were, and you're like, wow, I was in so much pain, I didn't even realize it. Right? Because...
Sorry, and do they fall into like other addictions besides just sex, like, you know, at the same time?
Usually, we call them gateway addictions. Sex and food are like best friends. So guys generally I see guys that struggle with sex addiction, they're also struggling with food, but it could be anything.
Quick question on because it's men. Would you say that, like, because of our culture, we're in a society where, as men, we're taught to, oh, you've got to go out and sow your oats and yada yada.
Okay, so listen, guys, we got to go to break here. I'd like to thank Eric for being on the show, and there's a website they can go check out. Eric,
mentherapytoronto.com, and there's all the resources that you can find for different resources in Toronto.
All right, awesome, great having you here, Eric. Thanks. We'll be back after the break with Peter Sapapathy. And we're back here with our kitchen segment with our cook, Peter Sapapathy. Hey, Peter, nice to have you back on the show again.
Hey, thanks, Al. Thanks. Great to be here. Thanks very much for having me back. We had a great time last time, so I thought I'd come back and do something a little different.
Yeah, you did have a good time last time. A lot of people liked the curry last time, or what?
We loved it. Yeah, I got a lot of good feedback on the curry, but this time I thought we'd do something a little bit faster. We're going to cook the whole thing in this segment.
What are we doing?
Huh?
What are we cooking?
It's a tilapia. So it's basically kind of like a blackened tilapia, but not blackened because we don't have the proper hoods in here to get the smoke out. But it's a nice, quick weeknight meal. You can put this together, I'm going to say, in about 20 minutes and have it on the table. As long as you have most of the ingredients, and luckily we do. So I'm going to show you what I did to the tilapia before we got it in there.
Okay.
And you guys can ask questions while we're going along. I like tilapia. It's a nice lean fish. It's high in protein. You can find it at most grocery stores on sale during the week, so that's another reason I like it.
It looks like you must be eating a lot of fish, Pete, because the last time you were here, you dropped a bit of weight, it looks like it.
Well, you know, TV does add some pounds, so I'm doing my best to make sure I can keep them off myself.
What are you putting on the fish right now?
So right now I'm just coating this guys in olive oil, just to give that a little bit of a coating. I dry it with paper towels once you get it out. I'm going to now add some Cajun spices to it. This is really dead easy. These are some spices that you can pick up at any grocery store. These are McCormick brand. I actually like these guys, and I use them quite a bit.
No Sri Lankan today.
No Sri Lankan today, but it's going to be spicy because I know Derek likes spicy. So
I love
we made sure that we always put a little bit of spice in for Derek.
What is in this Cajun spice for those who are
Cajun's
unaware?
a good question. It's a mix of paprika, cayenne. It has a little bit of cumin, but it has some other kind of Cajun stuff that
Right.
you won't really find in your average grocery store. So that's why I kind of pick up the mixed
Awesome.
pre-blends kind of thing.
Okay.
Right?
But that
So-
one's not spicy, is it?
No, it's not spicy. It doesn't have too much of a kick. Again, like I said, you can kick it up yourself if you want to add a little cayenne pepper or something like that.
Right.
So that's basically what we've done to the fish. And once that fish is prepped, we just kind of throw that right into the pan. You got about a tablespoon of oil in there. That's about medium-high heat. And right now we've had that going, I'm going to say for about 2.5 minutes. What you want to do is get about 3 minutes per side in the pan. So I think there's an overhead, you can get that, but I'm not even sure if I can lift this enough. I don't want to cause, there you go, perfect. So we got that frying away. For a nice little side, I'm going to do something I like to whip together really quick. It's coleslaw. It's a little flavored coleslaw. I'm going to use some Mexican spices and sweeten it up a little bit. The reason I like coleslaw is it's healthy, A, number one. B, you can usually get it at the grocery store. It's already bagged and shredded for you, so it's like less than $2 for a bag. You can whip this together, and it really goes well. I find it pairs well with the salmon because, again, it's a Cajun salmon, so it is a little bit spicier and a little bit saltier, so I find the coleslaw cuts that a little bit. So to this coleslaw, we're going to add some mayonnaise. So I'm going to say about a tablespoon of mayonnaise. You guys can keep it as healthy as you want. I know we talked about that the last time, trying to make sure.
I'm
that
not a
we keep-
mayonnaise guy, Pete. You know
Oh,
that.
I know that, Al. I know.
So, if you're not a mayonnaise guy like Alan, can you substitute that mayonnaise with something else?
Absolutely. A lot of times in a pinch, Derek, what I do is I'll throw in some olive oil instead.
Right.
So olive oil is nice. It's a little lighter, like I said. And if you add, what do I have here? My secret little ingredient here. This is agave syrup. So I don't know if you can see that. Now agave syrup I like to use. It's a good sugar. It's it's a little bit better for you. I think it digests. It's not a refined sugar.
Isn't that what they make tequila with?
I'm not
Yes,
sure.
from the agave plant. They do.
There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah, so this is made from the same thing. So we're going to flip this fish before I finish making that. Now you notice I got two spatulas here. And there's another thing I want you guys to notice. Notice I didn't touch the fish the whole time it's cooking. So me and Al talked about that once, not just
He's going to
last
knock me in
night.
this time. So what I do is I always touch the fish, and it breaks up. And I always say, like, how do I fix this problem, you know?
So if you don't want it to break, like I said, leave it, let it sit for your 3 minutes. I know everybody kind of wants to touch it. What I would do is maybe move the oil around a little bit.
That
There's
smells
no
so
skin on
good.
that, right? That's just a crust. on there.
Skinless tilapia, that's normally how you'll always get it. at
That's
the
a
grocery
beautiful
store.
crust, actually.
Yeah, and like I said, that's the fillet. So I made the mistake once of using actual loins. Loins are thicker, and they tend to need a bit more time to cook. Whereas this, the fillets will cook, I'm going to say 10, 15 minutes. You're all done. So
So
we're just, sorry, go ahead there.
I'm sorry, just because you mentioned the loins are thicker, so would you say that it is just a little bit more likely that the thinner ones are going to dry out a little faster?
Yeah, again, like I said, this is the fillet, so I mean, it's one piece. The loins I bought once, I got them frozen. You know what you can do with loins, I find, is if you make like a fish pie or something.
Right.
So you can do that because they can tend to cook a little longer and they won't break up. But this is, like I said, more of a delicate cut. Now to serve that, over here, we've already done that. We got
Would
some
you be able
rice.
to deep fry this if you had a deep fryer?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, sure. But again, like I said, we're doing a bit of a healthy show here today.
Yeah.
Doesn't
We
matter.
want to keep it
Sometimes-
lean. And like that's some of the stuff that I've been eating. I've been trying to up my fish intake. It's good for your macros. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
People are working out, want to get in that lean protein, and they want to get good, dense sources of protein. I think that fish is a really great option for you if you're going to be doing that. Get this out of the way and grab the tongs here. So we're going to plate up on our coleslaw. So again, you know what? I made this as a little dry run last night when Al came over, and we were practicing. And one of the other nice options you have for this fish, if you make a couple of fillets, let's say you can make one or two for yourself, the next day they do great in a sandwich. So you get a nice little soft baguette, cut that open, you put some of this horseradish mayo I just made here. So the horseradish mayo just has a bit of mayonnaise, some horseradish, and a little bit of lemon. With that, basically you can put that onto your sub, you can put some arugula on there, you can put your fish on top,
Yep.
you put some pickled onions, and I think that's probably going to be a really great sandwich.
I'm into that.
So we're good to go. We're going to pull our fish and we're going to plate. And then you guys get to taste.
Yeah.
There you go, right on
See,
top.
you brought me a fork this time, Pete, because the last time you left me out of the loop. And Derek and Tony enjoyed the whole thing.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So I got 1, 2,
Like I see Derek already.
I just stole the last
I'm
one.
pouncing.
3
I'm
forks.
ready. You were packing heat already. That's
I had it in my back
Careful
pocket.
over here, guys. I want to move this out of the way so nobody gets burnt.
Okay, guys, let's
Sure.
cook in here and see what's going on. Let's give it
Yeah.
a shot. Go ahead. Hey, okay, so I'm the guy that's going to get in.
I have to lean over the hot oil.
Come.
So.
Let's go. There we go.
I'm getting taken over by the hosts.
Yeah, sorry.
There we go.
Again.
The flesh looks so perfect on the inside, I can't handle.
Very good. So, like I said, 3.5 minutes to 4 minutes aside, and you'll get that. If you know, like tilapia is a thin fish; it cooks really quickly. If you're not, like I don't mind a little bit undercooked. I hate overcooked fish. I find it dries out. So that's what I said.
Well,
3.5
Peter,
minutes.
you outdone yourself again, man.
Oh, great!
Oh,
Like-
it's
and
fantastic.
try the horseradish mayo. I know, Al, you're not a huge
You're not me, I'm
fan,
not that
but
guy, whatever.
yeah,
Right
just dip a little bit of that,
There
and
you
that,
go.
I find that really plays well with the fish.
Listen,
Horseradish mayo.
when you see people dig in and eat,
combo.
you know it's good. Trust me.
That's
It's
a
really
very
good.
combo together.
Thanks.
Oh snap! I'm messing
Wow.
up.
And like I said, with the coleslaw, I like to throw the coleslaw into a sandwich. You can also make tacos as well if you have taco shells and you want to use leftovers.
8 minutes to make that, Pete. Fantastic. Listen,
And 2 minutes
guys,
to eat.
tune into the show to see Pete do tune into the show to do Pete do his thing. It's absolutely fantastic. Pete, you'll get this on the website, Peter Sapapathy. You look him up. Fantastic, Peter.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Very good.
Fantastic. You know what
I
I'm saying?
like it.
Like Derek, you still going in?
Yeah, of course. Please feed us
So-
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Like I
All
said,
right.
it was great being on, and these are healthy kind of weeknight recipes I think every single guy should know.
Peter, again, I'm sure you'll be back again. Thanks very much for tuning in to Pete. We'll be back after the break and with our musician, Catherine Musson. See you after the break. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, guys.
And we're back here, and we have our musical guest, Catherine Musson. How you doing, Catherine?
I'm good. How are you?
You look a little nervous.
I am.
I think
okay.
it's just because you're sitting between these two handsome men.
Yeah.
Don't be nervous, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
hopefully your
goodness.
dad's not listening to this. You're getting me into trouble. Listen, so 19,
Yeah.
like, and I know your father quite well, and a good friend of mine invited me down to hear you sing, and that's why you're here, because we think you're absolutely phenomenal and fabulous.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So, where did your when did you find out you could sing? I know your father sang, and that was a shock to me that your dad actually sings.
Yeah, have you seen him?
Yeah, I've seen Randy. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually remember the day I knew I could sing. I was at my younger sister's soccer tournament with my big sister, and we were kind of chilling in the hotel. My little sister was with her soccer team, and my big sister brought her guitar, and she was playing some Taylor Swift, and I started singing, and my mom could hear, and she was like, that was really good, like, sing more. And we just kept singing and playing and jamming out, and ever since then I've been kind of like nonstop singing all the time.
Yeah,
So,
because I heard you when I'd spoken to you at your father's place, and you I forget the song that you sang, but then I'd mentioned had you any of your own stuff, and you ran away, and in less than 3 weeks, and you've come up with your own song, isn't that right?
yeah, really excited. It's my first, like, I've never written a song before. I mean, like, there's one that's on YouTube, and it's called You're Such a Freak. And I was like 12 when I wrote that one, but it's you know,
What was
this
that
is
one
my
called?
first song. You're Such a Freak.
And you're such a
Yeah.
that was the
Already.
yeah. You can sing that to Derek maybe.
I've gotten it.
And inspirations.
I don't know. Like I definitely I have some favorite singers of my own, but I try not to sound like them because like there's only going to be one Beyonce, so why try to sound like her? Why try to sound like Taylor Swift? Like I just kind of have to use my own voice and kind of channel that inside myself. So
So would you say that you've found your voice?
yeah, for sure I have. Like especially with my dad, like I would be singing and he'd be like, don't try to sound like this artist, you're trying to sound like that, like just kind of. And after practicing a lot, you know, just in my room for hours, my guitar, my ukulele, and singing to myself, I kind of just found my voice, I guess, and it's like my number one passion. So yeah.
Are you from a musical family?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, my dad sings kind of for fun, and my mom played the organ and the piano when she was younger, and so that I started off with piano lessons, and yeah, I mean, so I guess sort of. My parents have always encouraged me to do my best in my singing and playing, and they're really great with that.
So the ukulele, is this your instrument of choice?
Usually it's guitar, but like I decided to kind of switch it up a bit.
You're
so.
wild.
Be
Crazy.
different.
Yeah, out of control.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Is this a ukulele injury you got here?
Yeah, no, it's, long story. I don't want to put you guys through that. It's okay.
So this song that you wrote, what inspired you to write this song?
Okay, so like it's kind of like a little love song, and there are like currently no boys in my life. It's kind of like from past experiences.
That's happy, right?
This is true. You know what? I'm very open minded. I actually tell him about all the boys I see, so because he rocks. But no, like it's kind of about past experiences. Yeah, I just kind of had to channel that, and I wrote a little song. So yeah.
Good for you. And
What's it
It
called?
took you 3 weeks.
I owe it all to you.
I owe it all to you.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, this.
I was a little bit more positive than the first song you wrote.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So this is this is the first time you've sang this song. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean,
so we're going to get honored basically for.
oh, I
world
hope
premiere.
so. I don't know.
Yeah, there you are.
World
World
premiere.
premiere.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually say that.
Yeah, world premiere.
Nice.
There we go.
The
Don't be
production
nervous.
value of YouTube has just gone up.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Thank
Ronnie
you.
likes to put the pressure on people, but I've seen you perform, and ain't no pressure for Catherine. This is easy for you.
Thank you.
And the ukulele's a lovely touch because I was there that night and I couldn't believe how amazing you were. Like first
Thank
3
you.
words, it was like,
Oh.
you know.
Yeah, it's different. Most people like perform. They have like the guitar, or the piano, and I don't know. I kind of want to like. This is my debut. I want to like be different. I want to ukulele.
So after tonight, will people be able to find you on Facebook, Twitter, anything like that?
Yeah, if they want. I don't know.
They will. Don't worry.
Okay.
They will.
Yeah.
So we'll have all your Twitter feeds and stuff at the end of the show and running the credits for them so people
Awesome.
can.
You post your
Look
things
up.
on your social media?
I don't really post a lot of singing things or anything like that. Like, I don't know. I don't like to. I guess I'm kind of shy when it comes to that. Now I'm gonna be on TV, but I don't know. They can
cool.
like just contact me. Facebook message.
All right.
A couple of
DM.
us are older guys, right? So we were in the AC/DC for breaking guitars and stuff. So don't be shy if you want to smash a ukulele.
Oh,
or-
no.
No
We're
smashing
all there.
ukulele.
From
Listen,
Hawaii.
God's gonna be
Listen,
happy.
No,
guys,
Dad
listen,
bought
I'd like
it.
to thank all my guests here today, like Eric and Peter Sapapathy and Catherine herself, and Ronnie for filling in for Nick. Ronnie, absolutely amazing, and if ever anybody's ever missing, you'll be back on the show again. We thought you were absolutely fantastic. Listen, look out for Catherine. She's next. Thank you very much. Men 101. Guys, appreciate it.
First time I met you, I was so weak in the knees. I wanted to get to know you, but you didn't notice me. Your smile is perfect and your eyes, they are so green. I know you have another, but I know we're meant to be. Just give yourself to me. I wanna hear you say to me that you love me too. For I have never met a man as wonderful as you. I'm up in the clouds and I ain't coming down 'cause you're up there too. This happiness that I found because of you. And I owe it all to you. I owe it all to you. Oh, I know this love is true. And I owe it all to you. I owe it all to you. I know I'm just a friend, but you know I want more. Just let me hold you close because it's you I'm looking for. No, I'm not perfect. Yeah, mistakes, I've made a few. But if you knew the real me, yeah, I know you'd want me to. Just tell me what to do. I'd do anything I wanna hear you say to me that you love me too. For I have never met a man as wonderful as you.